Minasan konnichiwa. Hello friends and welcome to today's video. I'm going to be giving you 40 things / facts you need to know before you visit Japan. I went there for around 2 weeks last year before the whole illness went crazy. So yeah, this is purely my tourist perspective. I have sort of fact checked a few of these. So yeah, let's get straight on with the video. If you're new around here, my name is Dain LUKA. I post travel videos every single Friday. So go ahead and hit the subscribe button and let's get straight on with today's video. Yesterday I sat there and wrote down all the things that I thought were interesting about Japan. Japan is definitely one of the cooler places that I've been. It's completely different culture to where I live, which is the UK. So I've written them down on my phone and I'm going to go through them as quickly as I can because I managed to think of 40 facts / things that you should know. Also comment down below any interesting or strange facts you know about Japan if you've ever been there. And yeah, let's just get straight on with it. So number one is get cash out. I found that most places accept cash. A lot of places do accept card, but mostly it's just easier to have cash. So if you're traveling on your own or even if you're traveling with others, I would definitely recommend to stay in a pod hotel. That is what Japan is famous for. You have like your own, it's like a mini pod / bedroom where you've got like a light, you've got your bed, and it's sort of closed off and it feels a lot more private to other hostels that I've stayed in. I have a full video talking about different hostels that I stayed in all around Japan, so I'll link that down below. Number three, Japanese people are so friendly. I've never had hospitality like I've had in Japan. Like, people will just come up to you in the streets if you look lost or you just look unsure or you look confused, and they will try and help you. It's amazing. So you'll most likely land at Tokyo Narita Airport, and I found the easiest and simplest way to get to sort of downtown Tokyo is the SkyTrain, which is worked out to be about £17, and literally as soon as you walk out of customs, there is like a kiosk there and you can get the ticket and then you just get straight on the train. Number five, Japanese walk on the right side of everywhere. It took me a few days to sort of realize this. I noticed that everyone seemed to always be walking in the same direction, and then I started to look down and realize there's actual arrows on pavements, sidewalks, whatever you want to call it. Number six, buy a Pasmo card, which is essentially the Japanese version of an Oyster card. I think it's about 500 yen and you can purchase it at the station, and it's essentially a card that you can top up, and it just allowed you to get all around the metro. I only use this in Tokyo, so I'm not sure if you can use it in other areas of Japan. I would have a Google. But the other one is the Suzuki Card. Any money that's left on it, you can take it to the sort of kiosk or desk at the end of your trip, and they refund you the money that you paid for the card and any cash left on it. Next thing is Google Maps is going to be your best friend when you're trying to navigate the metro. Look out for the colors and the numbers. This next thing I had trouble trying to do, which is waiting for the man to turn green before you actually cross the road. Now here in the UK, you kind of just wait till there's no cars on the road to cross. I know in like Australia and America, it's called jaywalking. Now in Japan, it's just definitely frowned upon to walk across the road if the man is red. I certainly had a few funny looks, and I googled it and then I realized it's such like a culture thing that you just do not cross the road unless the man is green. Next thing is you can actually ask for an English menu in a lot of restaurants. I will say the traditional sort of local restaurants, not so much, but a lot of like near the touristy places like in Shinjuku, if you're in Tokyo or Kyoto, a lot of places will do an English menu, so definitely ask for that. Number 10, a lot of places will add 10% tax when you purchase things, and I googled this, and basically in 2019 Tokyo City raised their consumption tax from 8% to 10%, so sometimes when you're purchasing goods or services it will be slightly higher when you get at the till or checkout. I found this wasn't everywhere, maybe they added it on before, but some places it would be a different price when I went up to pay. Number 11, this is just where Japanese people are so friendly again. I found Japanese people would continue to speak to me in Japanese even though I'm like, I actually don't know what you're saying, and I felt really rude at times. I did learn a few basic Japanese phrases, but a lot of the time I was so confused because people were literally continuing to talk to me in another language, and I'm like, I'm really sorry, I don't understand you. This one really grinded my gears. Shopping centers make no sense. Now, mostly in Japan, I found they're all department stores, and it is like a massive maze. They're like sky-rise buildings, and maybe not sky-rise, but they're very tall buildings, and you sort of walk in and you end up going the escalator and you end up going really far up, and then you're like, how do I find my way down? But you'll go through like random cooking sections, and then like men's clothes, kids clothes, and it's a lot. I found it quite overwhelming. For someone that doesn't really like shopping, the department stores are not for me. If you're into shopping, make sure you carry your passport, because some places will give you 10% off if you carry your passport. I think they deduct the tax, so you don't pay the tax. This one I found really interesting. Basically, there is not a lot of rubbish / trash cans in Tokyo. I found in 1995 there was a terrorist / gas attack where I think someone put a gas bomb in a bin. I'll sort of put some details below because I don't want to tell you the wrong information. But you kind of find yourself, the place is absolutely spotless, but you kind of find yourself collecting your rubbish in your backpack all day, and then you just obviously dispose of it at your hotel or your hostel. Bento means lunchbox. The train stations in Japan are absolutely massive. For example, Kyoto Station has like 34 platforms. I literally saw a sign for platform 34, and I was like, I'm so glad I gave myself plenty of time, because they're so big, they stretch over multiple floors. So if you've got like the metro, the Shinkansen, the other trains, there is a lot, so give yourself plenty of time. Number 17, being vegan or vegetarian requires a lot more planning. It's definitely possible, but they typically, I found it was really difficult to be vegan. I definitely took advantage of using apps and websites like Happy Cow. It will just tell you like the nearest like vegan / vegetarian friendly places to eat. Very helpful. Number 18, people don't talk or make noise on the trains. I found this really weird. It was sort of, at first I found it weird because I was like, it's very eerie. No one's talking, no one's making any noise. But then afterwards I was like, this is actually great. Like, trains in England are so loud, especially in London. Number 19, bring a good pair of walking shoes. The cities like Tokyo, Kyoto are absolutely huge, and you're going to be doing a lot of walking. I think one day I ended up doing like 31,000 steps, and I was so tired. Okay, so I know I mentioned Google Maps earlier, but I would use Google Maps for things like directions in terms of like knowing which platforms to get on when you're getting the trains, but I would not rely on it when you're trying to direct yourself around the city. I just felt like it wasn't orientated to where I actually was, and then it ended up losing me. So I've heard about an app called Maps.me where you can download offline maps. So I would definitely check that out. Next thing, Google Translator. What is going on here, Google? You're just not helping me in Japan. But Google Translator, it just didn't work. Like, I would literally I found it when I was trying to order like things like soy or almond milk, which they definitely do. So I would type in like soy milk, and then it would, you know, show the person, and they just didn't understand it. And then I would try other like simple basic words, and it just wasn't working. Next thing, the taxis are black in Japan. They also do have things like Uber as well. Number 23, every time you have miso soup, make sure you eat it from the bottom. Now, it took me a few days to like realize this, and the lady nicely like told me about like the food and everything, and I was like sipping on the miso soup, and I was like, just tastes like water. And that's because all the flavor is at the bottom, and you kind of eat it from the bottom. Number 24, get a Japan rail pass. Now, I can do a whole video on this because I think this will be useful. There are certainly times when you perhaps wouldn't get a Japan rail pass, but I would say as a flat rule, if you're going to be traveling the whole of Japan, trains are expensive, so you save a lot of money by getting a Japan rail pass. Number 25, eat local if you can. It's definitely a lot more cheaper and it tastes a lot nicer. There are like Western places in Japan, but I was just trying to like eat traditional Japanese food when I was there. And I found it was quite interesting. A lot of the places that we're going to, you order your food on the vending machine outside, and then you take the ticket and you go inside, and that's how you order food. And I was like, that is so cool. In England, I use contactless every single day, and I found that they don't really use contactless in Japan. That might be different because it's a year on, but yeah, that's just something I noticed. Number 27, get yourself a Pocket Wi-Fi. It will be an absolute lifesaver. It's sort of like a little tiny, probably half the size of my phone, and the charge lasts for like all day. Like, it was amazing, and you just have it in your pocket or your bag all day, and you're connected to Wi-Fi. Amazing, easy. Next thing, the Shibuya crossing. 2,500 people can cross that road at one time. Crazy. 29, be respectful. Some places, such as shops or restaurants and cafes, you have to take your shoes off. And number 30, you should only eat and drink on long distance trains where they have a pull down tray board. The next thing is the language is very difficult. I really struggled, especially being on my own. I was just totally reliant on trying to understand people, or other people would come over and try and help me understand things like menus, but I found that not a lot of people speak English in Japan. Next thing, the toilets in Japan are insane. Pretty much every toilet has like a butt warmer, some little water sprays going on. Literally, need I say any more? Okay, this one I found really interesting, but Japan is actually one of the safest places I would say in the world I never felt unsafe. I honestly feel like if I left my phone or my wallet like on the side of the road, it would probably be there the next day. So this next thing happened to me 4 or 5 times. I could definitely recall, especially being in Tokyo and Kyoto. But I found Japanese people, or like just like one random person would come up to me and say, can I practice speaking English with you? I was absolutely fine to do that, but I've never had that anywhere else. I thought it was really funny. Next thing, they smoke in restaurants, so be prepared. I myself, I'm not a smoker, and I found this one really difficult. I did hear from a local person that they said, given the 2020 Olympics, they were trying to sort of phase that out. So in restaurants, I saw a few restaurants have them. They were like smoking boxes. They kind of look like the red telephone boxes in England. They were sort of black, but they were placed in the restaurant. But a lot of people just didn't really, so I think they were trying to phase out smoking in restaurants. But there were a few times I was sat there eating my dinner and people would just be smoking next to me and I would just be like, oh my God. Number 36, Japanese people wear surgical masks to protect them from spreading any illness they have. So I found even like pre this big illness, I was there like at the time that it started to happen, but I found a lot of people wearing surgical masks in public, on the trains, and people do that just out of kindness because they don't want to spread any illness. That just goes to show how nice and friendly Japanese people are. Okay, this next thing, I've got beef with this one. They wrap everything in plastic. Like, it is just impossible to avoid plastic there. I remember one morning I went down for breakfast in my hostel and each individual slice of bread and banana was covered in plastic, and I was like, this is so unnecessary. Number 38, they have vending machines for absolutely everything. Number 39, I would definitely recommend trying an onsen, which is like their Japanese spa. I tried this one time, but there are definitely certain rules. No tattoos, and you have to go in absolutely nude, so keep that in mind. And lastly, number 40, Japan. Why am I saying it like that? Number 40, Japan is actually not that expensive. I'd been sort of traveling for a couple of months before I went to Japan and everyone was like, wow, that's gonna cost so much money. And I really didn't find it was that expensive. Like, once you've paid for things like food, like you can have a meal there for like £5 or £6, or you can have a meal there for like £15-16. It just depends. Again, accommodation, you could pay like £50 to £100 on a hotel, or you could pay like literally less than £10 for a hostel. I would say you could probably travel Japan for like £25 to £30 per day, which I think is pretty reasonable. I definitely found Japan was a lot less expensive than places like Australia and New Zealand. So yeah, that is 40 things that you should know, / that's things that I noticed when I went to Japan. Hope you enjoyed them. Let me know in the comments down below any other interesting facts that you know. I'm just thinking of one. I listened to a podcast recently and they were talking about how on Christmas Day that Japanese people, they celebrate with KFC and people have to order their KFC in advance and they have some sort of sprinkle cake. I will try and insert something here just to like show, because I definitely googled it because I was like, that's so weird, but I googled it and it's true. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed that video, guys. Like, subscribe, go follow me on socials, and I'll see you guys in the next video. So yeah, peace out.